They say family is supposed to be your biggest blessing. But for me, mine became my biggest pain. When I was lying in that cold hospital bed, tubes running through my veins and machines beeping beside me, I thought the sound of those beeps meant life. But to my children, they only meant money. The clock ticking until they could finally have what was theirs. I remember that night so clearly. The doctor had just walked out after saying, "She's critical. Prepare for the worst." My hands were trembling, not out of fear of dying, but out of fear of what I saw next. Through the glass window of my room, I saw my son, my eldest, the one I raised through sleepless nights and hungry days, talking to a lawyer, not about my treatment, not about saving me, but about my property. My heart didn't stop because of illness that night. It broke because of betrayal. They whispered outside, thinking I couldn't hear. "Once she's gone, the house will be mine. Don't forget the savings account. She still has money in it. We'll split everything equally." They couldn't even split their love when I needed it most. I used to dream of growing old surrounded by my children's laughter. But now, even their presence in that hospital felt like vultures circling above me, waiting for me to stop breathing so they could start counting. Each time the nurse adjusted my I'd glance at the door, hoping one of them would step in to hold my hand, say something like, "We love you. Mom, please fight." But all I got was silence, or the sound of footsteps walking away after each phone call about money. That night, as the rain tapped against the window, I realized something. Sometimes, the people you'd give your life for are the ones praying for your last breath. I closed my eyes and whispered, "God, if you're not done with me yet, don't let me go now. Not yet. I need to see who they truly are." And God must have heard me, because what happened next changed everything. When the sun rose the next morning, the doctors looked at me like they'd seen a miracle. "She made it through the night," one of them said softly. But little did they know, I didn't survive for myself. I survived to see the truth. My body was weak, but my mind, it was awake. I began to notice everything I had been too blind to see before. My children didn't come to sit by my side. They came to check my locker keys, my jewelry bag, my bank pass. They thought I was asleep when they whispered to each other. But a mother's ears never stop hearing her children. "Make sure we get her signature before she gets worse," my daughter said one evening, her voice trembling not from sorrow but from greed. "She won't remember anything anyway," my son replied, waving a form in his hand. Tears rolled down my face as I pretended to sleep. I wasn't crying because I was dying. I was crying because I was finally seeing. When the nurse came to give me my medicine, she held my hand gently. "You're lucky, ma'am," she said. "Most patients your age don't make it." I smiled faintly. "Maybe luck didn't save me, child," I whispered. "Maybe God just wanted me to open my eyes." That night, I couldn't close them. I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory, their birthdays, their first steps, the times I stayed hungry just to feed them. And now, those same hands I fed were reaching for my last piece of bread. I realized something then. Sometimes, surviving isn't about living. It's about learning who truly stands beside you when you can't stand at all. Days passed. My strength started returning, but the pain in my heart grew heavier. My children brought me fruit baskets and fake smiles, but not once did they say, "How do you feel, Mom?" Every visit was just another chance for them to ask, "Where did you keep the documents?" I stopped answering. I stopped reacting. I just watched, because sometimes silence speaks louder than anger. But fate wasn't done yet. One afternoon, I overheard something that shattered the last piece of my heart and gave birth to something else inside me. A will to fight back. It was a quiet afternoon when I heard them outside my room again. The door wasn't fully closed, and their whispers crawled right into my heart. "She's too weak to recover," my son said. Let's get the property papers signed now. We'll say it's for her medical expenses, my daughter added. That's when it hit me. They weren't waiting for my recovery. They were planning for my end. I closed my eyes and prayed. God, give me strength, not for my body, but for my heart, because I'm not done yet. The next morning, when the nurse came in, I asked her to bring me my old phone. I had it hidden in my bedside drawer, untouched. With shaking hands, I dialed a number I hadn't called in years. My late husband's lawyer, Mr. Raymond. He had helped us buy our first home. He had seen the love I had for my family, and when he answered, his voice trembled as he said, "Mrs. Turner, is that really you?" "Yes," I whispered, "and I need your help. Before my own blood kills me with their greed." He came to the hospital quietly that evening. I made sure my children weren't around. My voice was weak, but my mind was clear. "I want to make a new will," I told him. "Not for them, but for the people who actually care." Tears filled his eyes. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I said. We spent that night writing it all down, every word, every condition. The house, the savings, the insurance. All of it would go to charity and the kind nurse who held my hand when no one else did. And as for my children, they would get one thing, my forgiveness. When my lawyer left, I lay back against the pillow, exhausted but peaceful. For the first time, I felt in control again. The next morning, when my son tried to hand me those fake documents to sign, I smiled and said softly, "Not today, sweetheart. I'm saving my signature for something special." He looked confused, but I didn't explain. Some battles are won in silence. From that moment, I decided to fight, not with anger, not with revenge, but with truth. I began to recover slowly, my body healing with every ounce of strength my spirit could gather. They thought I was weak. But they forgot, a mother's love may forgive, but it never forgets. And soon, they were going to learn that the woman they were counting out was already counting her justice. A few weeks later, I was finally discharged from the hospital. The doctors called me a miracle. But I knew the real miracle was something deeper. I had seen the truth, and I was still standing to tell it. My children came to pick me up, their smiles stiff, their hugs cold. On the way home, they talked about bills, insurance, and future plans. Not once did they ask if I was in pain. Not once did they say, "We're glad you made it, Mom." When we reached the house, it didn't even feel like home anymore. The warmth was gone, replaced by greed, by calculation, by the quiet ticking of clocks, waiting for inheritance. But I had changed, and I wasn't that weak, dying woman anymore. I spent the next few days pretending to rest, but in truth, I was watching. I saw how they opened my drawers, checked my bank files, even whispered behind doors. Every night, I'd lie awake, praying, "God, don't let me hate my own children. Just let them see what they've become." And soon, that prayer was answered. One bright morning, there was a knock at the door. My lawyer, Mr. Raymond, stood there holding a brown envelope. My children rushed to greet him, thinking he was bringing them what they'd been waiting for, my property documents. "Good morning," he said firmly. "I'm here to read out Mrs. Turner's final will and instructions." Their faces froze. My son smirked. "Oh, wonderful." Finally, Mr. Raymond opened the envelope and began reading in a calm voice. "I, Mary Turner, being of sound mind and full awareness, leave all my property, savings, and remaining assets to the Charity Foundation for Elderly Care, and to Nurse Helen, who stood by me when no one else did." Silence. Then chaos. "What?" my daughter gasped. "You're joking, right?" My son's face turned red. "Mom, how could you do this to us?" I looked at them quietly, my hands trembling but steady enough to hold my truth. "Do this to you?" I said softly. "You did this to yourselves. I gave you everything, my time, my love, my life. But when I needed you most, you gave me nothing but greed. They tried to argue, shout, cry, but I just closed my eyes. There's one thing I did leave you, I whispered. My forgiveness. Because hate only poisons the heart that carries it. Mr. Raymond packed his papers, nodded at me respectfully, and left. My children stood there speechless, the weight of their own actions crushing them more than my words ever could. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. I didn't win money that day. I won something far greater, my dignity. It's been a year since that day. The house feels quieter now, not because it's empty, but because peace finally lives here. I often sit by the window with a cup of tea, watching the sunrise. The same light that once scared me in that hospital room now reminds me that every new day is a second chance. A chance to choose peace over pain. My children don't visit much anymore. Sometimes they send messages, sometimes they don't. But I no longer wait for them. I used to think love meant holding on no matter what. Now I know. Sometimes love means letting go. I forgave them, not because they deserved it, but because I deserved freedom. The weight of bitterness can kill faster than any disease. And I've already fought for my life once. I won't let their greed steal it again. I spend most of my time at the elderly care home now, the same one. I donated my money to the nurse, Helen, still calls me Mama Turner. She brings me flowers every Sunday and sits beside me, listening to my stories. She says I inspire her. But she doesn't know it's people like her who keep my faith in humanity alive. Sometimes, the other residents ask me, aren't you lonely? Don't you miss your family? I smile softly and say, family isn't always the ones who share your blood. It's the ones who share your pain, your laughter, and your prayers. Life has taught me that you can survive anything, heartbreak, betrayal, even death, as long as you keep a kind heart. Because kindness, even when broken, still heals others. When I close my eyes at night, I don't see hospitals or signatures. I see memories my children as little kids running barefoot through the garden, laughing, calling my name. I choose to remember that asterisk version of them, the ones untouched by greed. And maybe, just maybe, someday, they'll remember the version of me that loved them endlessly. If anyone's listening to my story right now, I want you to remember this. You can give your children the world. But never forget to save a piece of your heart for yourself. You can forgive, but never allow the same wound to be cut twice. And when you find yourself fighting for your life, make sure you're fighting for the right people. Because in the end, money fades, property breaks, but dignity, that's the only inheritance worth leaving behind. As I sit here, watching the sunset, I whisper a quiet prayer. Thank you, God, for saving me not from death, but from blindness. Because now, I finally see.